Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Dr. Krista Vernaleken.
And I'm Dr. Lindsay Renzullo. We're glad to have you back today.
So we're just sort of winging it today a little bit because we have a lot of little topics. The first thing to make you aware of is we are definitely willing to answer any questions that you have today, do a little Q&A. So if
yeah,
you're
we are
watching
live.
Yeah, we're watching live. You could post your questions there in the comment section. We're happy to answer those.
And our wonderful producer Rachel will flag us down and let us know when we have an active question. So yeah, I mean, it's October. We look around. We start thinking about various things.
We're looking around.
Well, we are. I'm looking. I'm gazing outside of our lovely windows at our new building. We're looking around and we're just thinking about different things that are going on in the month of October. And we thought it would be interesting to talk about some things for Halloween. Mm-hmm. Halloween's always a fun time. Love getting dressed up in costumes and things like that. But it can pose some.
I don't really.
You don't get to dress up?
I don't get dressed up.
I do like to get dressed up.
I always feel dumb.
You wear some funny socks?
Funny socks.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, you'll take that. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, getting our pets dressed up is always fun. Are you dressing up your pets?
I do actually. I was saving this for the podcast, but they have guinea pig costumes.
Stop it. What are they going to be?
Well, one of them is going to be a unicorn, a unipig. And the other one, they have these South American sombrero, poncho, because you know that guinea pigs are from South America.
That's fantastic.
They're adorable.
Oh my God, the girls must love it. That's great.
Yes.
No, I love pets in costume. I think they're super adorable. Are we going to be doing a pet costume contest again this year around? Okay, yes, we are. Our producers are saying yes. So we always have a Facebook contest where we have pets dress up in costumes and people get to vote on their
Did I ever tell you about my Lucy dog costume issue?
No.
So the viewers probably don't care about this. But when I first got my dog Lucy, we didn't have a fenced-in yard, so we had her in the backyard, and we got a costume. It was the fall. She was brand new to us. She was wearing this little purple butterfly costume, flopped when she ran. Well, she got away from us, escaped out the yard, down the street.
Butterfly gone rogue.
Running down the street with her little butterfly wings flapping, and so the nice people down the street grabbed her for us. And I just... Thank you very much. And I collected her up and walked off with my little costume dog. I didn't answer why a
butterfly dog is running loose in the neighborhood. Do we have a question?
No, I just wanted to say that the Halloween costume contest is on all of the Ethos Hospital Facebook pages.
Very
and
cool.
It's the week before Halloween.
Okay,
so
great.
We'll ask for photos, and then voting will happen, and there'll be something
It's
special for the
always
winner.
super fun, right?
I'm gonna do my guinea pigs.
We should post up previous winners. I'm giving you more work to do, but I think we should do previous winners from previous years to see the photos that have won. That'd be cool.
We can do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But anyway, going back to
Halloween with the pets. So, what do you see in the clinic, and what do you worry about with pets?
I think probably the number one thing that we see with Halloween, I think we might have discussed it before, is just candy ingestion. So worrying about these massive, huge pillowcase full things of candy, which I don't know if your kids still trick or treat with pillowcases.
No, not pillowcases, but
did you back in the day? That was the thing.
Yeah, I didn't. I always had some kind of a fancy little
bag or something.
Basket thing.
I don't know. Maybe it was around here. Maybe it was the Massachusetts.
No, people
kids.
did pillowcases.
Oh, they did. Oh, okay, yeah. So we used to have pillowcases, and I remember actually my dog as a kid got into it, and my parents were beside themselves. So I mean, in it obviously there's lots of toxins. Chocolate being a big one that we all know about, but the other types of nuts and stuff like that, like macadamia nuts or any other kind of candies that have those things in it, can be potentially toxic to dogs too.
And just the idea of your dog eats a giant pile of wrappers and candy, and now their stomach's full of that, it can cause just GI upset all on its own.
Or secondary, we can get things like pancreatitis. Mm-hmm. The pancreas can get really, really aggravated eating that much fat all at once. So
you got to be responsible and keep your kids from leaving the candy bags on the floor, because they come in after trick-or-treating, they're tired, and they dump them on the floor, and then boom.
That's what happens.
They get into it.
The good thing is that if you do find that your pet does get into it right away, if you let us know, you bring your pet in, we can induce vomiting, so we can give a medication that works really, really well that make your pet throw up. And then it's probably the best smelling vomit that we get when we make pets throw up.
Chocolate vomit?
It smells delightful. It smells nice. It smells like chocolate. So
no, it does not. It smells like chocolate plus vomit.
I have to say, I am not at all opposed to...
Do you feel that way when your kids vomit chocolate on them?
No, actually, no. That's a hot mess.
All right.
Yeah. So...
And we do get the question frequently, if a dog should eat one wrapper or
that's a
one
good point.
candy. You know, the majority of the candies that our pets do eat tend to be lower quality chocolate overall.
Right.
Not as much of the chocolate solids, not the real heavy dark chocolate, bacon chocolate, that kind of thing. So like you should check with us.
Yeah.
But a single candy is usually not as much of an issue. And the wrappers, they poop those out. That's not an issue.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you look at chocolate on a scale of toxicity, and you have sort of the least toxic type of chocolate, which is sort of the white chocolate. So that's sort of the least toxic of all. And then the most toxic, the one that has the highest methylxanthines and theobromides, those types of toxic compounds in chocolate, those are in the baker's chocolate, which obviously kids don't really get. So milk chocolate falls sort of on the lower end of things.
Imagine your kid gets a box of baker's chocolate.
If they got a box of baker's chocolate and your dog get into it, you'd be in trouble.
Right.
Yeah. Plus it would taste terrible. It's kind of bitter.
It tastes like dirt.
It's very bitter.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah. Dogs don't seem to care though. So there's that. And then, I think about what is Halloween like for a dog or a cat. So, there's a lot of door opening.
Yeah.
So indoor cats, you do have to watch that they're not escaping. If you do have an escape-prone cat, you should probably put them in a different room.
Yeah.
So that constant opening of the door, they can slip out very easily.
Yeah, it can be really hard because there's lots of things going on at the door. There's lots of kids there. It's very distracting, and sometimes people won't even notice that their animal has snuck away. So it's a good idea to be careful. Dogs and cats. I mean, dogs, depending on the type of dog that your dog is, some dogs love greeting people and are really excited, and other times this can be like an anxiety-provoking
Like the
event.
monster comes to the door and they're like, ah! So they don't recognize it as a person. They recognize it perhaps as a witch.
Yeah. Some of these costumes are quite convincing.
Elaborate, yeah. Well, I mean, there are dogs. If your dog hasn't met someone wearing a hat or met people with different hairstyles or different skin tones, they can be just put off by that in itself. And so then the idea of now you're wearing a witch's hat and your skin is green. Well, they don't see the green, but like your skin just looks different.
Yeah.
They definitely could be weirded and very anxious from that.
Yeah, and obviously, we get worried about kids with cars at Halloween because it's really dark. We do get worried if the pets get out, are they going to get hit by a car? Are they going to get lost? So that door interaction, just making sure that we're careful that our pets aren't going to be too close to there.
And then on the side of the kids, as a parent, probably don't assume that all people love dogs and that all kids are going to want to meet your pet. A lot of people have dogs that'll be a little territorial and barking, and we kind of laugh about it a little bit when they're in the house, but that can be pretty scary for kids. So just be aware of that not every child loves dogs, and maybe your dog shouldn't greet every single person because it's just better to keep them kind of back.
Yeah, it's a good point. Or they're allergic to dogs or cats. So that's a good point. Yeah, very good point. So that's sort of Halloween. Anything else with Halloween?
Oh, we were talking about black cats before.
That's true.
Don't be superstitious, and you should adopt black cats.
I had a black cat for years through college, actually the end of high school, college, and in vet school. I loved this black cat. So she was wonderful.
She crossed your path probably every day.
Every day, and she was not bad luck. And actually, black cats are notorious still. I mean, even though we sort of think that a lot of the taboo is gone, it really isn't. I
have a black cat.
Yeah.
You can argue about my luck over the years, but... she's evil, but not because she's a black cat. She's just an evil cat.
She's not. Is she evil
She
at home?
bit my daughter
is
yesterday.
Is she evil at home? Oh, she is. Oh,
this is going off the rails.
My black cat would not have hurt a fly. Yeah. Black cats are wonderful, though. They really are.
I'm gonna have the police at my door.
No,
she lets her cat bite her children.
Stop.
Yeah.
But no, black cats, I mean, even though there is that taboo around them and there's this superstition, they're great. I feel like for the majority of the time, the black cat temperament seems to be really good.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah. Other than
Totally.
Chris's cat.
My cat is not fine, but that's not because she's black.
I had a black cat in college, and I loved. He was so sweet, so sweet.
Yeah, they're really.
It's
sweet.
not about them being evil, though. It's about them being bad luck, right?
Yes.
If a black cat crosses your path and you break a mirror and you
It's
walk
true.
under a ladder,
bad
things will happen.
That is true.
Well, mine was great luck.
And you walked under ladders all the time too, right?
All the time. All the time. Many mirrors broken, black cat around.
Didn't matter.
So we're saying all of this because sadly at shelters, if you talk to shelter managers, it really is harder to place black cats because of this, whether it's the person goes in saying, I don't want a black cat, or they just say,
I think some
in their
people
brain,
do.
it's like a little superstitious. So Go ahead and adopt a black cat today.
Yeah, their personalities are great in the majority of the time. Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one. I like that segment. Any Halloween questions? Any questions about stuff? No? Okay.
No one's watching. It's fine.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to obesity in cats.
Yeah, talking about cats, talking about Candy. We actually have a guest in the house. We have a guest here in the room.
One of our producers,
Floyd,
or our producer's cat. So his vet told him that he was a little chunkamunk, which I don't think he's actually too bad. Here's Floyd.
Oh my God, look at him. So Floyd has had sort of the run of this place before we started the episode, and then we put him in his little cat carrier to get prepped for the episode, and he has just been dying to get back out.
He's so desperate to go to the window.
He wants to go see the window, but he's going to sit with me from here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at Floyd. So Floyd is 13 pounds, right? That's what we sort of were told today. And was told that he is a little bit on the chunkier side. So did you start an active diet regimen, or did you talk to your vet a little bit about how we're going to start? Do you want to see him?
I don't know.
Look how cute he is.
Let's see.
Just more exercise, I think, because he's on he's on a
he
Hills
wants to
diet.
go. Yeah. Come here. Come to me.
He's on a Hills diet, and we feed him somewhere between half and 2/3 a cup a day.
Yeah.
So we kind of cut back. We're trying to lean more on the half a cup, and just more exercise, more indoor exercise. But he's so lazy; it's so tough.
It is so hard. And honestly, so talking about diets in cats and in dogs, we really go back to sort of the basics. It's sort of calories in versus calories burned. And so indoor cats, they are just living the life. I mean, they lounge. They don't have to hunt for their food. They are pretty sort of sedentary for the most part. And so losing weight or going on a diet putting your indoor only cat on a diet can be a challenge. And a lot of these cats love to eat too, so that can always make it hard. They can wake you up first thing in the morning. They really want their breakfast. They want to eat. They want to relax. And so putting them on diets and restricting their calories can be quite a challenge, and making sure that they're trying to get enough exercise is always really hard. Is he the only cat in the house too?
He is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they don't have any other buddies to play with either. So it's
although they don't always like their
that is
buddies
true.
anyway. Cats. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, where I usually start with people is determining whether the cat's meal fed or free fed. So a lot of our cats, we know that they're easy keepers as pets, but he's so cute.
He likes that.
Sorry for our listeners that aren't viewing this, but the kitty is just loving his neck scratches. So free feeding your cat. So if I, as a human, was just faced with an unlimited buffet, even if it was kibble or something that I didn't particularly like, gosh, I would definitely not be close to normal weight.
I would definitely eat a lot. Yeah.
And so that's the first thing is some cats can regulate themselves very well, just like some people can. We could, some people, they could have cake in front of them all the time and they won't eat it. But I'm not that person. And so cats are the same way. At least half, maybe 30% to 50% of cats, you just can't free feed them. They will just eat every bit of it. So we start out with trying to measure how much they're eating. If you're in a single cat household, they technically could free feed, but just put out only a set amount per day, and then that's it, right?
Yeah.
But I usually try to get people to put down a measured amount 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah, I think splitting it up is always nice, because cats sort of just as a species tend to like to graze throughout the day, as opposed to a one big meal and then be done for
which is weird because in the wild that's not how wild cats eat, right? They eat one big meal a day if they manage to catch something, and sometimes not for a few days. So I don't know if that's a domestication issue or what, but so free feeding versus meal feeding, try to go with meal feeding. What do you think about wet versus dry? I don't have a strong opinion. I'm just curious about your opinion.
So there's a couple of thoughts on that. So one is whether or not your pet needs it medically for any reason. So some wet foods are actually beneficial because they have increased moisture content, and so some pets should be on a wet food if they need it medically. If they don't, and it just is preference, sometimes it can be just preference of the cat. Some cats really just prefer wet food. Some cats prefer dry food. I, as a person, prefer dry food because it doesn't smell and get dried out and get kind of gross, but I don't feel like it's wrong to give wet food if the cats really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think sometimes it just depends on the cat. Like I have a cat who I worked really hard to get down his weight, and he trends towards diabetic. So the only food he can eat without becoming diabetic is a wet food, because they tend to be lower.
Yeah.
They're not all lower in carbs, but you can get the lowest carb foods only in wet.
Yeah.
You cannot get a low carbohydrate food in dry below a certain amount just because it's a cereal. It has to be created with some carbs.
Yeah, and that would be obviously that medical concern that you would need. Does your cat like the wet food?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
he'll eat anything.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. He'll eat dry, wet,
Yeah.
potato chips.
Nope, I'm just gonna-
Don't feed them potato
at
chips.
his
That will
little
make them
face.
obese. So that's diet. I mean, you could drop them down pretty low. They'll be starving all the time. The trouble with the starving all the time is creating difficulty with living with them.
Yeah. No, it is. They can be horrible, and especially
when they're on a diet.
It's notorious for the morning time. Like they wake up and they are starving. They won't let you sleep in.
I have some tips for that, though.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear my tips?
Yeah, actually.
So there are automatic cat feeders.
Yep.
This has worked for many of my clients that you set for a certain time. So if they're starting to bug you at 4 a.m., you set the feeder to open with a little snack or maybe their full meal at 4 a.m. Then, and you can even, some of them even have a little voice command and be like, dinner's ready. And it calls them or it dings or something. And so they get acclimated to that and they stop bugging you because you're not the one that's feeding them. It's dissociated from you.
Yeah.
So I really like that.
Yeah, that's really good. That's good for the early morning. And Rachel's nodding her head because is he an early morning bother one?
Automatic cat feeder,
Yeah.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he bullies us into feeding him when he's hungry.
See?
So.
Yeah, they wake them up early in the morning.
And I don't let my cats in my bedroom because they will sit on my face at night and wake me up. So I don't care for that.
You should stay here. You're like our star for the day. Don't
And
leave.
amounts to feed, really, it just depends on the cat. Like you have to start with cutting back to some extent. Sometimes I'll tell people to go to just a restricted calorie diet, which restricts the calories with the same volume, maybe like 10%, 15%.
Right. And it's going to be slow. I mean, indoor cats, I mean, he's 13 pounds, so you're not going to anticipate that you're going to like lose a pound a week for him.
No,
It's
maybe
gonna-
like a year.
Yeah,
Like,
it's going to take a while,
Yeah.
like a long time. So, and that's okay. You don't want them to lose weight that quickly either. It's not good for their bodies.
Right.
And if you have a really super chunky cat, you really don't want them to lose weight that fast because they can have other secondary
Liver.
problems.
Yeah, liver problems. Yeah. So then exercise.
Exercise is the big one. I mean, there's lots of things now. I mean, the Indoor Cat Initiative talks about, different things that they can do to kind of help with the enrichment of your cat's life for inside. So different toys and stuff that you can give. Krista likes these automatic early morning feeders, which are nice, but there are feeders that you can actually do that are like games for the cat. So you can actually
I like those too.
Those are fun too, right? Yeah, they like make the cat work for the food. So it's like either a ball that they have to like play around with, and a kibble will pop out as they're playing with it, and that's how they sort of are getting their meal for the day.
There's also ones that are you hide the bowl.
Yeah, like
around the house.
Yes.
So you're making the cat hunt for its food.
Yes, I like that too.
Never knows where its food is going to pop up, and they
Yeah.
have to kind of wander around the house looking for it. So.
Some cats get really, I like that too
Some
because
cats
it's
are
very
just like, no.
low cost. You don't need to buy the fun stuff. You can just sort of hide their food, but then some cats catch on and they like will be like watching
Follow you
you
around,
as they
yeah.
hear their kibbles getting poured. They watch you where you hide it. So it's
Yeah.
sort of like a kid peeking and hide and seek. But yeah, I mean, there's different games and stuff that you can play with your cat. I mean, it's tough though. I mean, my indoor cat was a little bit chunky too, so not feeling so bad. And she was just really, really lazy. And I would, play with her with like the feather toys and stuff. And she would play like legit for like 5 minutes, and then she would just lay there and then use one paw, and that was it. Like that's all I could get her to really move. So some cats just don't have the endurance.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can start just like people, you start them slow. You wouldn't go for a marathon your first time out.
No.
You would train. And so you may need to start with just 5 minutes a day. Some cats like certain things and don't like other things. I know the cat feeder balls, I remember telling my mother-in-law to do that with her fat cat, and she tried.
And
she
did the
tried.
cats
The
hate
cat
it?
didn't want it. He was like, I'd rather not eat. He just never.
He didn't wanna work for it.
So my in-laws were chasing the ball around the house,
Showing him how to do
showing
it.
him how to
They're
do
on
it.
their,
So
yeah.
not every cat does everything. Some of them do like I've seen fishing poles, so you just like toss the little
Yeah.
like lure, and then they chase it around and come bring it back to you. There's laser pointers. You could throw a ball up the stairs and they'll go fetch it and run down the stairs.
I love putting catnip on the cat trees and stuff, and they go really crazy. Those
yeah.
catnips can make them
Yeah.
go nuts and get a good few calories burned before they pass out asleep. Yeah.
So you may have to break it up into multiple little sessions a day that only are a few minutes, and but the increased exercise can be done. There's cats on treadmills if you look on YouTube.
Oh, there is. And actually there is even, one of our technicians has a giant treadmill for a cat. Wow. It's a huge...
Oh, is it that big round ball?
Yeah,
thing?
ball. And that he's in it, and he'll do it for a little
Tech
bit.
has that, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then there are Fitbits for your cats too. You can get like little Fitbits you can put on their collars.
Your cat wears a collar.
Yeah. So you can kind of see, and then you can monitor it. You can like have it linked to your phone, so you can see what they're doing during the day.
Yeah, some of them are linked
happening.
to a little camera in the house. As they go close to the camera, you can see what they're doing. They're going to be sleeping.
How many steps do you get in, huh? How many steps do you get in per day, Floyd? I don't know.
And you can also take your cat outside on a harness. Now, be aware, cats are weasels, so you have to be sure that that harness fits really well.
Yes.
I was in my yard gardening and had my cat out on a harness, and lo and behold, there he just came and sat right next to me out of his harness.
Oh dear. Yeah.
So they get out of them. And if you do take your cat out, you should consider whether they might be exposed to fleas or ticks and treat accordingly. But some people are able to sort of walk their cats around the neighborhood, or at least in the yard.
Yeah.
And they do enjoy that. And all those things that are enrichment for them from a weight standpoint are also great for their just mental stimulation.
Yeah, it's true.
Makes them happier.
It really is true.
So I'm going to jump back because we had a comment just from someone back when we were talking about black cats.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying that they had a black cat and the name was Magic.
Oh, and was it a good cat? I bet it was a good cat.
They
Doesn't
didn't say,
matter.
but I bet it was.
I bet it was.
It doesn't matter.
I bet it
cats are
was.
good.
Yeah, all cats are good. They all have big personalities.
Yeah.
And then question, how do you tell at home if your cat is getting too big? When you should go seek... they just wrote in saying, yes, it was a very good cat.
Oh, see? Yeah.
How do you tell at home if your cat is getting too big? How do you monitor it? When do you go see the veterinarian?
Yeah, so, I mean, I will say 95% of cats that I see are at least a little bit heavy.
Yeah.
Do you want to, I don't know if can we hold Floyd up?
Yeah,
to
I mean,
see
so
things?
with cats, it's tough because you don't want to go by a number. So you don't want to say
Right.
any cat that's over like 10 pounds is overweight. So the way that we sort of scale obesity or being overweight in animals is by looking at their body condition score or their BCS. And so that is a number that's created by a number of different like physical factors. And so we can kind of go through some of those physical factors now to give him an appropriate score. And then if your pet falls in a number, it's sort of like the BMI in people. If your pet falls, in a certain range, then they're considered overweight or obese, depending on how bad they are. So the Mr. Floyd here, we're not meaning to embarrass you because it's just so mortifying. You think he's okay?
He's one
All right.
with his, whatever his weight is.
So when we look at cats and we look at dogs too, it's very similar thing. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it on the table. There's one of the things that's really easy for us to do is kind of palpate down by their ribs. And essentially you should be able to sort of feel their ribs on a...
Should I let him go?
Maybe we should let him go. Want to let him go? This poor guy.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, maybe he'll sit right there. No, he doesn't want to. He wants the window.
Right, we'll let him go to the
there
window.
he is.
We'll talk about it. Anyway, we have listeners and they can't see him. So.
Right, so you take your hands and you kind of run them by their ribs, and essentially you do want to be able to feel the ribs. You don't want it to be like hitting each one of the bones.
No, but you should have a little like washboardy, like
right, feel to it. And so if you can really feel the ribs, they're like completely emaciated, we scored a 1. And if there's literally nothing there, it's just all
squishy
padding.
Yeah.
We give it, a higher number depending on how squishy it is.
Goes up to 9.
Yeah.
So you should be able to feel the ribs but not see them.
Yeah.
If you can feel them but you have to kind of go digging for them, then they're on the higher end. But you should just be able to feel that they're there, not excessive fat cover over the ribs.
Yes. And then if there's nothing there, then it would give either an 8 or a 9 out of 9. So, and then the second thing that we can look at their waist, sort of that an abdominal tuck. So looking here, a lot of these cats have that sort of low hanging
fat pad. Yeah.
Oh, look, there's Floyd. Hi, Floyd.
Hey,
You wanna
Floyd.
come up?
Let's show him your fat
Let's show me
pad.
your fat pad.
So, they almost always have a little bit of a fat pad here, but it shouldn't be dangling. His isn't dangling.
Yeah.
It should be, you can feel a little bit of fat. His is a little bit more than we would ideally like. When he does stand there, you can kind of
see it. Yeah.
see it.
Some cats, so as they run, I mean, they'll like, it will fly back and forth. Yeah.
And then looking from above.
Yeah.
So you want to see like at least a little bit of an indentation of the waist, which is right behind the rib cage. And so like that's the part that I think a lot of cats get. Like sometimes there are these relatively obese cats that I can still feel their ribs, but they get all their weight is in their like belly and back area.
That fat pad is a really common spot for them to sort of right in that ventral abdomen, so sort of right on their belly is where they store a lot of the fat.
So what would you grade Floyd as? 1 to 9.
I would probably say he's like a 6 to a 7.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. So,
slightly overweight.
Yeah, he's slightly overweight. He is not huge by any means. We see some absolutely, big kitties, But like Krista said, I mean, honestly, a lot of the cats that we see in the clinic, they all do have a little bit extra because a lot of them are indoor-only cats. And it's inherently, by their nature to not necessarily move around a ton. You can see certain breeds of cat just tend to be fitter cats. So like Bengals and stuff just tend, in general, you don't see that many overweight Bengals. They're just more active. They just don't tend to carry around the excessive weight like the domestic short hairs and domestic medium hairs and things like that. So, yeah.
And then, why do we care? I mean, for the same reasons that we care in people. Clearly, there's a wide variety that you can have a healthy cat that's overweight and you can have an unhealthy cat that's the right weight, right?
True. Yeah.
But we do see a higher incidence of diabetes in cats that are obese. And then
and that's type 2 diabetes because cats are more prone to type 2 diabetes, which is the one from excessive weight, whereas dogs it's much more type 1.
And then issues with arthritis. Definitely, the more weight they have to carry around, the more issues they have with just pulling it around their hips and whether they can jump up on things the way they normally would. And then that's, of course, a vicious cycle that if you are heavier and it hurts to move around, then you don't move around as much and you don't burn as many
calories. With cats, we don't have as many options for really great arthritis medications. I mean, there are medications and there are things that you can do for pets as they get older and as they get sore, but in general, it's just much better if we can keep the weight off them in the first place. Yeah. And once the weight's on them for the indoor cats, it's so really hard to get off. Because like we said, it's a long time anyway that we're talking about losing the weight. So we're talking about like 6 months to a year of like losing weight and sometimes longer depending on how big the cat is. And it can just be really like a struggle and a challenge. So it seems inherently easy. You just don't give them as many calories, but it just doesn't work as smoothly as that.
I mean, just like with any species, it's no easier for dogs or people, and weight management is an issue probably throughout our society and everything, and it's the same with cats. So
that's cats, and Floyd is very cute. He's very sweet.
Floyd is adorable. I have all his hair in my mouth.
I know, I'm like covered in his hair. All right, that's good. Any other questions, Lauren?
No, we did have a question, but you just covered it about diabetes. If it's the same as humans, being at risk for certain diseases.
They don't have issues really with cardiac disease the way that people think of it, because cats are obligate carnivores, so they can handle the saturated fats and the heavier meat, so they don't get plaques in their arteries the way that people do. But definitely diabetes. We don't know as much about cats as dogs. In dogs, obesity makes them more prone to cancers of various types, certainly arthritis. But cats, there haven't been the studies done to say if they're more prone to cancer if they're overweight.
Thank you for joining us. Do you just want to talk about next month?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so next month we have a veterinary social worker coming.
Which is super exciting because Ethos as a company has hired her on as part of our team, and it's really awesome to have her there for both the support staff and clients. So we're really excited to be able to have her here and kind of highlight her a little bit about the things and the work that she does.
Talk about what she does and what's available to our employees and to clients as well.
Yeah, so please stay tuned. That's going to be a really cool, interesting episode.
Yeah. So we wanted to thank Ethos for always providing us with support. And what else?
Well, you can check us out on Google Play, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we just wanted to thank you for being here and hope to see you next month.
Saying goodbye from Bulger. I'm Krista.
I'm Lindsay. See you soon.